Welcome to Inside GT Live, the ultimate tuner festival.
The inaugural GT Live is history in the making, showcasing the first U.S. appearance of Japan's top form of racing, the Japan Grand Touring Championship, and the long-awaited East versus West D1 Grand Prix, a contest between the best drifters in Japan versus the best sideways racers in the U.S.
To help me wrangle these two piston-popping days of automotive madness down to an hour are our field correspondents Alan de Cadenet and Steve Magnante. Alan is known around the world for building and racing GT cars, and Steve is a former editor of Hot Rod Magazine and a guy who can have fun with anything on four wheels.
Over the last 2 days, the California Speedway has been transformed from a NASCAR track into the world's largest automotive theme park. Multiple events running simultaneously make this a Disneyland for car guys. Steve is down with GT Live's organizer right now to figure out what's going on.
I'm here with Randy Grube, who is basically the father of the GT Live event. Randy, how did this whole thing get started?
I was in Japan 3 years ago at a race where they were racing JGTC, and I heard the NSX engine, and that's all it took. At the time, they were running a normally aspirated 3-liter, and it sounds like a Ferrari, and it was just awesome. And the cars look great, and ever since then, I had this bug in my ear, and I wanted to do something, and it led to this.
Now, I know that there's a lot of famous people here who are very, very famous in Japan. Was it tough to get them here?
It was tough to get stuff over here. The biggest thing actually was when we first approached the GT Association, they wouldn't believe me that this would work here.
But it did. In order to pull a substantial crowd to GT Live's inaugural event, Randy decided to stray from the typical road race format and let the fans become part of the action.
What brought you out here today?
Oh, the drifting and the GT races.
How about the ladies?
Ladies, definitely good.
Surprisingly, the ladies aren't the only draw. Kicking off the drifting was America's newest drift series, the Extreme Drifting League. Alan's over trackside to get the inside edge on the XDL.
Drifting as we know it today may have had its origins in Japan, but believe me, it's caught on really big time here in America. And if anyone wants any proof of that, just look at all the tricked out machinery here, ready to go and show us how it's all done. Today, any race car driver will tell you that sliding around bends and burning rubber slows you down. But so what? Drifters don't care about that. Drifters care about putting on a great show and looking good.
In 2004, drifting caught traction here in the States, and after only a year of competition, the U.S. is turning out some of the world's top drifters. Some of the best from the U.S. and Japan came out at GT Live to be a part of America's newest drift experience, the Extreme Drifting League, presented by Falken Tires. Unlike other sideways events, the XDL removes the judged competition and focuses in on the art of drifting. Using the course as a blank canvas, the XDL uses drifting as performance art for the ultimate automotive show-off event. In essence, it's like the snowboard halfpipe of drifting. With the help of Falken Tires and Antonio Alvandia, the XDL used their brief time at GT Live to tell the history of drifting in Japan. They began with the sport's origins in rally racing, illegal street racing, and then finally getting organized with the D1 Grand Prix. This was a killer exhibition for this premiere series, and I'm sure we'll be trackside at all of their events this year. Drifting strictly for show is a concept that is exciting both to the drivers and the fans, making the XDL a sure bet for a good time in the upcoming year. The drifting here at GT Live is intense, and this is just the first of many drifting events to come here this weekend. Coming up, we're going to learn a little of the backstory on the JGTC and check out a little more D1 drifting, so stick around.